Hey woman of reverence. So today we're going to talk about a story in 2 Kings 5. Please go ahead and read it. I want to introduce you to 3 characters. We have Naaman, who is the king's commander. Then we have his wife, who doesn't have a name. Then we have his wife's maid. Okay, a little girl, it says, that was taken from her family as a captive and brought to be his wife's maid. Sad. Anyway, this little girl is from Israel. So she was brought up with knowing God, seeing his healing, seeing him working through his people. Anyway, she was brought from Israel, and she was now living as a captive and as a maid to this important man who was the king's commander's wife. So the 3 people are in the story at the moment. So this man has leprosy. Much like AIDS is today, it's one of those things that cannot be cured. So it was obviously the beginning stages, and basically if he doesn't get this cured, he will eventually lose his job. So this little girl says to Naaman's wife, I wish that my master's husband could go to Israel and find his healing there, because she has a knowledge of what God can do. So this little girl tells the wife tells Naaman. He then tells the king, this is what this little girl says. So the king sends him off with money, with gifts, and with a letter. He gets to Israel. He finally gets to Elisha's house. Elisha, the prophet, doesn't even come out to meet this important man. He sends a letter out, a messenger out, and says, go into the Jordan River, dip 7 times, and you will find your healing. Now Naaman says, this cannot be right. Jordan is a stinky, dirty, small river. This is below me. It's beneath me. Why would I want to do that? I've got better things around me, better rivers around me that I could rather do this in. And so often, I find myself thinking that it can't just be the simple, basic routine and structure that is going to get me healing in my life. It must be more to this. God, you can't just want me to read my Bible daily and be in communion with you daily. There must be something more important. But actually, God says that it's in the simple things that you find him. He's not a complicated God. He's not in the big, in the loud, in the extended, I don't know, sometimes we just want to make things difficult for ourselves. But God says, and he shows us so clearly in this story, that it's in the basic things. It's in the small little girl who thought her life was over. She's left her family. She shares this kind of like this testimony. And imagine when Naaman, he eventually decides, okay, I'm going to do this. He goes into the Jordan River. He dips himself 7 times, and he comes out at the end healed. He is humbled. He is cut to the heart. So I want to encourage you with 2 things. Number 1, let's look at Naaman's life. Let's be flexible. Let's remember that it's the simple things that is going to bring healing in our lives. Get back to basics. Number 2, that little girl who had left her family that I spoke about in the beginning, that shared a testimony, she probably thought her life was over, that this is what she was going to do, serve, serve, serve. And so often we can feel like that as moms and as wives. Our life is over. All we're going to do for the rest of our lives is cook suppers and clean up after people and serve, serve, serve. But actually, there is a testimony, there is a voice, there is a calling upon our lives, and it's time for us to rise up. It's time for the world to hear your testimony. It's time for us to say the basic and simple things, because it's those basic and simple things that is going to bring healing, and it's going to bring freedom into so many lives. Be blessed.